So we'd like to begin. If you could introduce yourselves actually to the group so we know who you are.
Okay. I'll start. To the important guy, Dan. Ryan Phelps. I'm the regional manager for Billy Casper Golf.
I'm Matt Fauerbach, the regional agronomist for Billy Casper Golf.
And I'm Jason Beeford. I'm the general manager on site at the Country Club.
And Deke Hotchkiss is sitting in the back as chairman of the Country Club of Woodbridge Commission.
So the best place for you to look is in the summary. We actually have on the second page of the summary, and on the third page of the summary outlines all of the projects that they'll discuss. If you go to the beginning of the book, under the summary tab.
Oh, not under CCW. Okay. We only have one page.
There's only one project sheet, which was for that one page.
Okay. Okay. All right.
So can you start by walking us through what's here?
Perfect, yeah, definitely. So the first part and the most important part, we've given the early start here that we've got going, we really just wanted to address the most important, most urgent need. And there's really only one item on that list. If you're looking at the first page, it is the $10,000 equipment purchase.
That's your second page.
Second page?
Yeah,
okay.
Under the course.
Okay.
$10,000 equipment purchase for the pumps for the irrigation system. The current pumps that we have are very dated and could potentially go at any time, and so it's very urgent that those two items be replaced. I'd like to have Matt talk a little bit about why they need to be replaced, why it's so important, and those sorts of details.
I'll just clarify, these are not the actual full pumps. These are the two motors, the 275 horsepower drive motors that actually run the pumps that feed the irrigation system, and the pressure maintenance pump that maintains pressure regulation within the system. We've had through our first season of operation identified a lot of inconsistencies in the operations of the pump, a lot of electrical surges which relate from pumps malfunctioning. The coils, each of the motors is wound with copper coils. That is how the charge and the power runs through the actual motor to drive the turbines on the pumping system. As those motors take on an extraordinary amount of use, their condition deteriorates. I don't know when the pump station was replaced. My guess would be it would have been in '99 or 2000, I believe, is when the irrigation upgrades were made. And the fact that when we got there, the pressure maintenance pump we were told in somewhat unknown condition. We actually had to remove that from use during the season because it was not operating effectively. And when you lose the pressure maintenance pump, that causes the two larger pumps to then act to maintain that pressure and do the job. It's basically using a Mack truck to do the job of a pickup truck. So you're expending a lot more electricity. There's a lot more force and a lot less finesse in the system. This price that's proposed here is we have an opportunity to get two slightly used motors. There was a system in another part of the state that was spec'd to have different motors, where the pumps actually came with these motors. They operated for 20 hours, so a very short period of time. Those motors were then deemed not to the specification that was put forth, so they were then replaced. So these have been on a vendor's shelf for about a year, and they have made an offer to Dennis Petrozelli for these used motors. They come with the full complement of warranty upon installation, and will mitigate any concerns for the coming season that we may have experienced pump failure or electrical surge and other problems that could lead to an irrigation system that's not functioning during a critical part of the year.
Does this service the entire golf course?
Yes.
And what's generally the useful life of these pumps?
Well-maintained pumps will give you anywhere from 12 to 20 years.
Really? Okay.
And if you can refresh my memory on the irrigation upgrades that were made at the club, was that 99?
It was about that.
Right. So we're on 13 years right now.
Okay.
And with the malfunctioning pressure maintenance pump, that puts an inordinate amount of stress and strain on the other motors. So we'll probably reduce their lifespan slightly.
Okay. Are there any other costs involved other than the purchase of the equipment?
The price that we have, which is we can discuss if necessary, is slightly higher than this, which does include the labor and some other ancillary electric materials that would be required to do the full installation. The total price, all in, is just under $13,000.
Okay.
And what we would likely do, if needed, is be able to put the extra $3,000 into the operating budget and find room for it.
So what would it cost if you weren't getting it through this?
If the pumps were to fail, if the turbines themselves were to fail because of the motors failing, and that could cause issues with the shaft. I mean, to replace the actual full 75 horsepower pumps, you're looking at about $35,000 a piece, so a total of $70,000 potentially down the road. The pressure maintenance pump price wouldn't change.
And I think one other thing that's important to note, which Matt can speak to more effectively than I can, but is if the pumps go down in a critical moment in the summer, the greens and some of these tee areas need to have water on them every day. So you would run into a situation where your golf course would start to die very quickly. We just went through this at Falmouth on Cape Cod, where we ordered some pumps in the off season. It took 45 days to get the necessary pump that we needed from a vendor. So we don't want to run into a situation where we do this in season or wait till it fails. Just it's not worth the risk on that side.
I
think I understood Tom to ask how much these would be new. You're getting a deal because they have 20 hours on them.
That's correct. Yeah, the motors themselves would retail probably at double this price.
Thank you.
Now, this is for FY14 budget, but so when do you plan to install these? What we have now is not working, or I'm a little concerned about.
We have managed through the situation at hand.
Mm-hmm.
The pumps. This again is a preventative measure.
Okay.
But we do know that the system currently, and we have gotten this system, we started here and we are now here. Where we'd like to be is up here. So we all, you may or may not be aware, depending on how familiar you are with the property, we had conditions issues this year related to irrigation challenges with troubleshooting wire path problems, head malfunctions. We have remedied every single infrastructural issue on the golf course. We now have a system that is working 50% better and more efficiently and more effectively. We're actually able to get water where it should be delivered now. This is the next step in that process.
Thank you.
But it's my understanding you want to install these pumps in the spring.
That would be the most ideal.
That would be the most ideal scenario. And we give full recognition to the fact that this is something that we were quite frankly not prepared for.
How does that work? Pretty much this is.
That's kind of where my question was.
Well, this could, sometimes at the end of the year,
Maybe with contingency or
Right.
something. Okay.
So that's your only capital request for now and for next year?
For the next fiscal year.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
Want to just maybe
go through these others that are in the summary here to see, they seem to be pretty basic things.
Yeah, certainly. Again, the idea is to make sure everybody's well aware that at this point in time, there's not a lot that needs to be done to the property. Looking on the same page of talking specifically to the golf course, you'll see in fiscal year 2015, we've got a new cart path on the 9th hole. Essentially, we were lucky enough to be able to purchase the new event tent for this year. It's been a great success. The idea by moving the cart path on the 9th hole is just going to be a way to expedite and make more efficient getting food to our golfers. We think that could be a labor savings and an efficiency savings with our current snack bar by the pool. Basically serving a lot more customers much easier, much quicker, which is ultimately going to save costs and increase revenues. So that's kind of the next item on the list, if you will, of importance to us. Once again, we can simplify the process and make it much more efficient. There's kind of, three main categories to this plan. There's talk about tee boxes. The golf course is difficult for a lot of new golfers. Now that we're a public golf course as opposed to a private golf course, we need to think about how can we get people around the golf course quicker so they have more fun, so they come back. Building new tee boxes is going to allow us to shorten some of our longer holes, again, to give golfers more of an option and speed things along a little bit more quickly. So that's kind of one main area. Another main area deals with tree removal. There's a lot of trees on the golf course. Trees are very beautiful. We love the trees, but trees make growing grass difficult. They provide a lot of shade. They take up a lot of water. So there's certain areas on the golf course that are a little bit weaker. The turf is a little bit weaker due to the fact that there's plenty of trees in the area. So that would be another area. And then drainage. Drainage isn't nearly as big of an issue as we thought it was when we came on property. Through the work of our superintendent, who's opened up a lot of drainage pipes that were grown in or not installed properly. So we've fixed a lot of those problems, but there are some other areas that we still need to continue to address. So that's another area that we feel is kind of in this main category. What you'll notice is when we created the plan, and keep in mind, we haven't even been here a full season yet, so this plan is likely going to morph and change as we go. But you didn't see all the tee boxes in one shot. You didn't see all the drainage in one shot. You didn't see all the tree removal in one shot. The reason for that is because we feel like we can save some money and do a lot of this stuff in-house with the current team that we have. Obviously, you have to purchase materials. If you're building a new tee box, you have to purchase the material to build it. But Dennis and his crew are competent enough that they can install that themselves. So that's kind of why we've got it spread out the way we have. So it's not a shock of one large number all up front. So speaking to the golf course needs, that's the direction that we're headed. Those are kind of the main areas that we see that we want to tackle. And I don't know if Matt or Ryan, if you have anything to add to that.
No, I mean, I think to Jason's point, even on the tee boxes, not just for ease of play, but there's significantly more rounds being played now under a public scenario than would have been played at Woodbridge back when it was private. So that also damages those tee boxes much quicker. So we want to spread it out, have a little more teeing area, especially on some of the par threes where it's gonna be affected the most. And then to his tree point, yeah, trees are a good thing, a beautiful thing to see. But Woodbridge, since it was built to where it's ended up now, has too many. So we need to be thoughtful about how we remove some and plant some. But that will be a project.
Is there a process for reviewing and getting approval for removing trees? It's a pretty sensitive issue in
Right,
this town.
and that's why we haven't. Deke, do you want to speak?
Adam Parsons and I do in fact have, let's see, I guess this is taken from a Google map where every tree on the property, or virtually every tree on the property, is identified. And then out of that, we've identified the trees that, well, there's some trees that are safety issues because of their condition.
Sure.
You know, there are other trees, well, I guess the other end, on the other end of the spectrum are trees that are specimen trees, or, you know, that we, you know, want to make sure
Yes.
that survive and things like that. And then, you know, frankly, there's, well, sort of everything else in the middle, which, you know, I mean, there's areas where trees should be thinned, but not necessarily eliminated. And so we have a, well, like a working plan, I guess, that reflects all that.
Great.
How did you make out in the hurricane?
We did pretty well.
I was trying to look from the road, I saw a few things down, but.
We
you didn't
certainly
lose a lot of
lost a few trees,
A lot
but
of branches.
a lot more branches, yeah.
Any
Yeah, I
other
think-
damage to the club? Notice? No?
But even just when we talk about the just dead or dying or damaged trees or for safety, that would be a substantial amount of trees to take away. And really, the only trees that would be removed wouldn't be from an aesthetic value. It's more airflow, getting sunlight back onto some of the tees that had sunlight when the trees were smaller. So, but it would all, none of it would be done until we obviously had full approval and everybody was on the same page. But it's something to address.
Well, Adam Parsons is the assistant tree warden for the town anyway, so I think you've done well getting a very capable.
He's got a
Well,
similar.
Deke takes care of it.
He was the assistant green superintendent there for a number of years. Very familiar with.
He outlined a similar problem with the tennis courts over here with trees
Right,
causing mold issues and
Sure.
so forth.
Well, actually, that's my question. I noticed there's no capital provisions at all for the tennis courts.
Correct.
Okay.
At this point, we don't feel that any capital needs are necessary. Any expenses there will go in the operating budget.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you still open?
Yeah. We're still
Regular
open.
hours and people still golfing?
Correct, yeah. We've done, we actually had a fairly nice weekend and a fairly good Monday and Tuesday. We're open now 7:30 to 4:30, 7 days a week. The pro shop will stay open all season regardless of snow. The course will close, obviously, if there's snow on it, and then when it melts, we'll reopen again. So, yep, we'll stay open all year.
How'd you do this weekend?
We did it. We had a great weekend. We did, well, between the 3 days combined, we probably have done 150 rounds or so, and more importantly, gotten the word out to that kind of hardy group of golfers that we're going to be here, we're going to stay open. A lot of folks come up from Fairfield because their clubs will close down. We're kind of the closest one there that stays open, so it was good, and we had a nice membership drive up right up to the end of the month as well. So
I actually saw them up today in Orange Hills. Couldn't believe it. It was raining.
it was cold this morning.
It was
They
cold.
there's a few that came
We're out there.
There's sort of an
Get
issue
the bug,
of
right?
making, I don't know enough, if you guys know, I don't know enough about golf to really ask this intelligently, so just indulge me, but is there sort of a risk at making a given hole too easy for the hardy golfers who would otherwise feel like this has become too easy for them? Is that sort of a tension that you have to deal with?
Are you speaking about the addition of tees?
I'm referring to what Jason said a few minutes ago about the fact
tee
that
boxes.
The tee
making the
boxes.
tee boxes, constructing them in such a way so that the holes are shorter. So it's-
Yeah, some of
Gauges are broader as
some of
well.
it is for access to junior and beginner golfers. So it's not about making the hole less challenging for the skilled golfer. In those areas, we would want to expand the tees so that the distance can remain the same, but there's more tee surface that will appropriately handle the traffic that we're taking.
So the message to the public is not that this is going to become
No.
an
Correct.
easy course. The message to there's no it could be windmills or owls or listed.
no.
Okay? The message
Not
is
yet.
That's
still
that's
I do have a giant giraffe in my trunk.
No, but it's a good point.
That's how I don't know.
That's a good question.
To your point too, it's the installation of the tees would only allow for it to be easier for certain groups, but the existing course would remain intact from where it stands.
Okay. I just wanted to get that message on the record.
Could you actually review the improvements that you've identified on the first page in terms of the clubhouse, the pool?
Correct. Yep.
And
That's
walk
kind of
us through
our
that?
next step that we wanted to go to.
Okay.
One of the areas that I'm getting a lot of feedback from our pool members is, especially the younger families, is having a bathroom that's closer to the pool. So that's certainly a need that we want to address. In conjunction with that, a lot of our golf members don't really, if you've ever been in the club, the locker rooms are beautiful. They're very nice. Some of the golf members don't appreciate all the little kids in the locker rooms, to put it lightly. So there's certainly a need, and there's some infrastructure already in place to change over some of the storerooms that are down in the hallway there, convert those into either changing rooms or restroom facilities to keep the kids out of the locker rooms, make them a little bit closer to the pool as well. So that's certainly a couple of the items on the list, just to try and make it a little more organized and keep the class that we have to offer at the country club, but still being accessible to the youth. Another issue: replace steps and railings on the terrace leading up to the grow room. That's an issue that currently, right now, they're railroad ties and gravel. It just need to tighten that up a little bit, make it a little more safe, and last something that's going to last. That's certainly an issue that we'd like to address. And then upgrade the grow room and adjacent rooms to the clubhouse. The decision was made this year in the spring that we were going to be able to use the 3 rooms on the pool side, on the far side of the clubhouse. Worked out, was a fantastic decision. But again, if you've ever been in there, they're a little dark, they're a little, dated, obviously. So the idea behind that $20,000 is to provide some improvements, paint, freshen them up, maybe change the service area where the bar is, new carpeting, brighter lighting, some paint. When you look out over the golf course, you've got great views, and then you look at the awning that's got some chip paint. So it's those types of things. And again, a lot of the stuff can be done in-house, just to touch it up, make it a little bit nicer. So we recognize that the clubhouse is an issue. We think we can improve the atmosphere and improve the experience for our customers with a small amount there. Moving down to the pool area, remove the stump and add some a sitting area. When you walk out to the pool, the pool is in the shape of an L, kind of in the corner of the L. There's this where what used to be a beautiful oak tree is now a tree stump. As we look to expand the membership and provide more opportunities for families in Woodbridge, we're going to need more seating, and that's going to be a great place to, first of all, improve the image of the facility and the aesthetics of it, but also provide more seating, which is going to increase the amount of members that we can have, the capacity of membership, and with that comes another $8,000. You'll see the next line item: awnings, awning sets, tables, chairs, kind of $8,000 across the board. That's just something that should continue to be updated. Chairs break, umbrellas break, you get windstorms, those sorts of things. That's just something that needs to be addressed year over year. And again, hopefully we have membership growing and building in each of those years as well to kind of continue in that. A couple of the larger items on this list: plaster the pool and install new lighting. $60,000. That quote was received by Anthony Taddy this fall, so it's a current quote. And again, the pool is getting older, and it's going to need some work at some point. Obviously, the sooner the better on that, but we do feel that there's no safety issues or anything, and we can make that last as long as possible. But we wanted to give you an idea of what it may cost, and make you aware that it is going to need to be changed and fixed at some point. And washer and dryer replacement. for $10,000 as well. One of the main selling points of the club is the fact that we have towel service. We sell 10,000 members in towel service alone every year. So I think to make that more efficient would help save the club money over time. You're going to have less labor costs, less propane costs, and it's just going to improve the overall efficiency of the club. And then the final item on that list to repave the parking lot, just kind of keeping it with the theme. It's cracked and a little overgrown. Yeah, it's a mess. It's not designed very well. It may become a safety issue as we fill our membership up as well, because we do have a parking lot across the street. So this winter we're going to be trimming some trees to make it more visible on that road and that sort of thing. But we certainly need to give that some consideration and some thought as well. So those are kind of the main issues as we see them with the clubhouse. Certainly that plan is likely to change again as we go forward and we figure out what the golfers want. But as we see it now, that's kind of where we're at. Is that kind of what you're thinking?
Yeah. Okay. And again, this plan, or I guess in fairness, specifically the 2014 request was approved by the commission. And the commission has seen the rest of the plan, although it wasn't specifically a voting item.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I have 2 questions. The first one, I was just reminded when you were talking about repaving. I think at the meeting we had on the property last summer, there was discussion at a public level of a crosswalk connecting that lower parking lot to the rest of the property. Anyway, it has since come up in private conversation, and I'm just wondering if there are any plans for a crosswalk. Is that something that has to go through the police commission?
It goes through the traffic commission, right?
Correct.
Wasn't one submitted?
Yes. Somebody from the police. Was it Bob Stewart? Yeah, contacted me over the summer and asked us to trim some of the trees and get some signage, which we are doing this off season to help the people who are on the property. But he made it sound to me like it was up to them to get the crosswalk put in, and they were also going to get some signage, pedestrian crossings and that sort of thing put on the road as well. And I haven't followed up.
Yeah, we can check on painting that crosswalk.
Yeah.
I think it would be incredibly important.
Yeah, once the season gets closer.
Yeah.
Because it's a town road, so we shouldn't have to go through state.
No, the police commission sitting as the traffic authority.
Mm-hmm. The other question goes back to the item here, conversion of first floor storage to bathroom and family changing room. That's in the clubhouse proper, right?
Correct.
So my question is what plans there might be for the cabana down by the kiddie pool, I guess.
I would have to say at this point, we have talked about some things, but specifically tied to delivering food to golfers also, and trying to make the food and beverage service more economical. One of the problems right now is that we cook in what's known as a store's grill and cook upstairs, and there's a beverage cart driving around on certain days, and so there's a lot of pieces to this. And one of the thoughts, honestly, is using that pool house to deliver food to both the pool, to the tent, and to golfers as they go by on the ninth hole. Yeah. So we have not viewed that as a location to resolve the dressing, not dressing room, but the dressing room, etc. issue with the experience with the swimmers.
It's sort of it's all about maximizing the return, where we can increase the efficiency of our operation by
by working with the space that we're given on the clubhouse proper side, with an additional restroom, a small changing area. The cabana is a big project, and we still, if we do that, if we focus on that area, we don't achieve some of the other efficiencies that we would want out of the operation.
No, I'm just, because I think that there used to be bathrooms
There did, and there's still, if we were to take that approach, there would still be a room that we could also renovate into a bathroom as well, because there's some plumbing and fixtures there. But yeah, it just, at this time, we just feel like there's just too much work that needed there. But there is, it used to be a men's and a ladies' restroom.
But they're in bad shape.
They're in,
right?
They're in very bad shape.
Yeah. We went through it, I mean, kind of a mess.
And the work to these 2 rooms in the clubhouse, would it be used exclusively for swimmers? I mean, it would be, or actually the room that would be converted to a bathroom would be the nearest bathroom to the pro shop. So, it would probably be used by golfers as well. Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just as an update, again, we were trying to fund a good part of this project. With our Toll Brothers proposal, of course, we were told, it was voted down by the town people, and there was a definite statement made that we didn't need it because we have a running approved 55 and over project, which is going to generate tax revenue, et cetera, et cetera. And there's Toll Brothers got interested in it. Well, current update is it's a dead deal. So we're back to a no deal on that property.
Talking about Bradley Road area.
Yeah, Woodbridge Village is not happening anytime soon. From what I understand, the owner with all the money has no plans to do anything with it. So we're back to square one with.
Didn't he approach Toll Brothers as well down there?
Yeah, their Toll Brothers wants no part of it. I guess they've walked away. So.
They didn't want to get involved with retail.
They made had a informational session with the Town Plan and Zoning Commission, I think in June.
Yeah.
And the Town Plan and Zoning Commission had certain questions about the density, basically, of a proposal.
Right.
And my understanding that Toll Brothers was going to digest that and then come back if they were interested in making some revisions to their plan. And that has not happened.
And so while this is happening, the Orange 55 and over housing project known as Fieldstone Village is going bonkers.
Yeah.
They're selling units left and right, and it's pretty awful looking as far as.
Let's take care of the traffic down there before we put a whole bunch of more people down there.
Yeah. So. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine? So yeah, Orange I think was the beneficiary. I know at least three people who were hoping that Woodbridge did something like that, and when it didn't happen, they're buying an Orange now. So.
We were going.
We were buying.
Yeah.
We were going to be next door neighbors.
But it's just I still when I drive down that road and I see that pile of rocks and that cell phone tower, I just shake at the thought of it's just sitting there. What it could have been. We were told no, so it's no. But it's just it seems like it would have been such a great opportunity to fund it. We could have eliminated so much of this. But.
Well, timing is
people told us
everything.
that we didn't need it because we have a 55 and over approved project which is ready to go. Well, trust me, I've done a lot of inquiring. I've spoken to a lot of people, and that is not happening, and it's not happening anytime soon. So, not true. Whatever people thought, it's not true. You know, with that, of course, comes a lot of tax revenue, which we're not going to get. So. That's where it's at. I just thought I'd give you an update on it because.
That means I have to lie about my age now.
I've been asking a lot of questions because it was several of our residents made us very clear that it's going to happen, and we were crazy in thinking it wouldn't happen. Well, they were crazy in thinking it would happen because it's not happening. So that's that. So no revenue for the golf course or anything else. With that, I guess now, for those of you who did or didn't get invited, tomorrow night at 5:30 at the Media Library Center in Amity, there's going to be a meeting of the three towns, I believe, regarding regionalization issues for all three towns, and everybody's invited. So it should be an interesting conversation about.
I think what Dr. Brady or the Amity Board has hired a consultant to do a study to look into the regionalization of the tire system from K through 12.
I didn't hear about this. I didn't
Yeah.
either.
So
Yeah.
it's an informational session in the sense of telling the elected officials of the three towns and others what their plan is for this study.
There seems to be a general agreement amongst the towns that it would be a good idea to move the sixth grade up there, up to the junior, the middle schools, which would put us in the norm of regional schools or schools, you know, K through 5, 6 through 8, 9 through 12. Right now, it's I think we're the only school district that has 7 and 8, and there's plenty of room up there. And,
Yes.
and the sixth graders, I think, according to some of the people I spoke to at the Woodbridge Board of Ed, would be great to move up to that level. So
I mean, it's important to explore the vision of making
Dr.
that
Brady
happen.
would love it.
So, yep.
I think I told Matt before the meeting that Amite's been ranked number 4 high school in the state after I think it's New Canaan, Joel Barlow, and Staples. Joel
Not
Barlow
too shabby.
is in Easton.
Very nice.
Great.
Staples is in Westport. So we're the highest ranking high school outside of Fairfield County in the state of Connecticut.
Okay,
So
that's great.
Not surprising.
No.
Good leadership. And again, you know, that's part of this. I've talked to Dr. Brady. Is the disparity in the learning level, the curriculum of all these different schools. It's great. It's great. He said it's amazing, and the skill levels of these kids coming into the middle schools is very different. And you know, years ago it was floated. Why don't we have a regional school district? Period. So this is a start. It's a start. So and the fact that Orange has embraced it, and Bethany has made advances at one point of sending their whole school district into the Amity district.
There's huge cost savings associated with it.
4 superintendents,
Right.
4 business managers,
Right.
you know.
4 nurses, 4 principals.
4 of everything, right? So
4 cafeterias.
and really, if you regionalize the whole thing, it still wouldn't be huge compared to what some of these school districts are, you know. And I asked Dr. Brady, he said, "Could you handle it?" He says, "Oh, please."
It's just psychologically hard, I think, for the towns to
give up
vision.
control.
Right. And, you know, it's an idea whose time has come to be considered. And you have to open people's eyes as to what the possibilities are.
Well, when you hear
It's good to
something
begin
like
the
this,
process.
you know, I mean.
Exactly.
It'll be interesting to see what people think.
Yeah, well, tomorrow night will be interesting.
Yes.
But like I said, Orange is, I thought
What time
Orange
is
was
that tomorrow night?
5:30. 5:30.
Okay, so with
Great.
that, good night.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.